Week. Awesome. It is Sunday. Man, that just made a huge mess right in front of me. Always very hard to get. Always hard to get like right back in the rhythm of things because did play the last 2 days in a row. I find it's better for me to play higher quality days rather than high volume. So like in a month I'll play 20 days, let's say, maybe, sometimes more. But usually right around 20 days works for me. And it allows me to put in a better quality of volume. It allows me to put in better effort. And honestly, when I limited myself to no more than like 3 weeks of, or what was it? It was like 22 days a month. I had a math problem for it where it was like 80% or something of the month couldn't be poker. It was a weird thing. But it basically worked out to putting in as many sessions as I liked, but I didn't have to work every day. So a session could be cash games, a session could be, tournaments, a session could be study. So I probably still get in the main amount of sessions, if you don't count study, but I do them in less days, which for me I think works best. So I think the thing that you got to realize is that not everybody does everything the same, and I found success when I fully embrace that with poker and with my life. Sorry, have to fix this. That was driving me nuts. All right, let's. Where's my options here? Here we go. Let's just stick to big blinds. So we're going from earliest hands to the latest through Sunday. Yesterday was pretty good. Sundays are always very volatile, so it's very hard to break even on a Sunday. You kind of either smash it or you lose. I did okay. I won back 30% of my buy-ins, which I think is fine, considering it was so volatile. Most of my buy-ins came in the first hour of play, which is hilarious because that's a standard Sunday. People are gambling early. They're like, screw it. I'm just going to get in here, try to get a stack, and they just, go crazy, crazy, crazy. So it was fun. I'm still adjusting to being okay with that. On this bankroll, I just try to lower my average buy-in and go from there. All right, let's do the hand reviews. We got quite a few to get to, and there's a lot of great stuff. There's a couple little ones like this, but let's get it on. Pocket eights. We see a raise out of first position. This is literally the second hand of this tournament. So I decided, you know what? I don't want to just call because with all the stacks behind, it was very easy to get 3-bet. Also, we're starting out this tournament with 76 blinds. This player has 90. He's not raising enough. So when you start this tournament, you should be raising at least 3 big blinds, maybe 3.5, because you want the pots to be bigger. Because we do have more chips, and this is just not worth winning on its own. So it's too early to be playing little tip tap shit. So we're supposed to be betting higher, but instead I decided to just call. I considered 3-betting, but I decided not to. Player bets half pot. Really didn't look like anything to me. I felt like this player was just had kind of like an ABC thing. So I figured, he's not going to have a queen about 2/3 of the time or better here, and he's not going to be able to continue. Because really, the only hands you can continue with here are flush draws, queens. You can continue with some jacks, or like a pair of jacks or tens. You can, but it's so early in the tournament that a lot of players won't. So this is kind of like exploiting the tournament. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too early for somebody to make a hero call. So I like doing this early, and we get the fold. And it's a nice little move, because if I just call, then what do I do on the turn, right? But my hand's too strong to fold. So in those instances, I like raising a lot because it's going to be rare that we're going to be beaten. You know what I'm saying? Especially when he bets half pot. The bet's just so improper. So let's see here. Oh, god dang it. I didn't do the whole thing. You got to be kidding me. Well, it looks like we're resizing that. Let's see here. Replay all hands and report. All right. Yeah, look at it is over here. And give me one sec, guys. Yeah, so I've been up for like an hour. Had breakfast, fed the dogs. Got really good sleep. Had some fantastic CBD gummy last night, and that put me right through the bed. And it was good because I played Saturday and Sunday at a pretty high volume, did pretty well, and then I edited after streams Saturday morning and night and after Sunday night. So you kind of get a little like, you can't wind down. It was like 5:30 in the morning when I finally went to bed, and I woke up at 10 o'clock, and I feel great. I find I'm sleeping less and less because I'm very excited now, about what I do throughout my day. It's very easy to not give a shit about sleep when your waking life is awesome. So let's see here. Jack 10. Coming out of third position, which is also known as a low jack here. We go ahead and raise. It folds around to the big blind. He calls. Flop comes off 5-4-5. Not really great for us. He's got a ton of chips. I mean, we're at a near starting stack, but he's already doubled up. So we're going to go ahead and just check it back because this board really shouldn't improve us very much. He can have anything, of course. He now bets small here, and this is a thing I wanted to point out, is that when the flop goes check, the turn bet, I believe, shouldn't be like the flop. When you bet on the flop, you should be betting a third pot a great majority of the time with your best made hands and draws and, with your setting up bluffs for the turn and river. On turns, I believe your bets should be their biggest because that's where you accomplish, I think, the most in the hand. So for me, I'm not making a turn bet very often that's less than 2/3 pot, usually around 70% pot, because it just doesn't do anything. So this bet is just like, if you don't have anything, here you go. You can't really call. Well, that may be true, but I can raise. I can always make it look like I was trapping. So that's what I did. And this works very well because he's doing it because he's saying, all right, you don't have anything, I'll take it. Yeah, I might not have anything, bro, but I can still have more than you, so go ahead and raise. And it didn't cost me much, you know what I'm saying? And we were able to win a pot that was a little bit bigger and safer to win. Because if we c-bet this flop, right, and he has something like, I don't know, 6, 8, you know what I'm saying? Or he has like a 4. Let's say he has a 4. Let's give him credit for the ace 4 here, right? Holding the ace of diamonds, but not suited, right? So he's got the ace 4, and he checks, and we c-bet the flop. A lot of players are just going to, in their head, go, he's got ace king, I have him crushed. Like, for no reason, too. They go right to ace king, which makes no fucking sense. So I think this is a great play to make, because then when you check the flop, and then he tries to bet the turn, and you raise him, it's like, okay, now you could have an overpair. I could even have ace 5. I could have a straight. I could have 4s full. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could have all these monster hands that he's just never going to bluff me off of for a very small bet. And he just, well, I'm going to play disciplined and get away from this one, man. There'll be better spots. Yeah, but you were ahead. So I think it's a fun thing to really realize the full dynamic of a situation going on. And it's fun, it's a great thing you can try out. Ooh, pocket 8s again. Oh, wait a minute. I'm doing the thing. I didn't want to show the hand. I don't remember this hand. All right. So, we see a min raise out of first. We make a call. Comes off 9 king king. We check. Player checks. We go ahead and check again. Only because if he had a king, he would check the flop. So I checked the turn to see if a king was happening here. And then he checks back, and I'm just pretty much convinced I have the best hand. And this is where it gets fun. So if he doesn't have a king, right, what are the most likely hands that he raises? Yeah, all pairs, that's true. But we have a pair, and it's pretty good. So he can really only have 10s, jacks. You could have queens, I guess. But I think a lot of people would have bet the queens before now, and the jacks, right? So I guess in the 10s are the same. So it's kind of the same thing, right? So what's the most likely scenario? Well, the most likely scenario is he has an ace that missed this board, right? He had a good ace, something, exactly like what he has, and he's checking it to get a showdown, and that's all good. And he makes a very fatal mistake here by not betting because this is a free shot. I'm sorry, I made a very big mistake here. I kind of was too early into these tournaments, and I don't know why I checked this. I think I was still getting settled, but this is a huge mistake because normally what I would do here is I would bet 2x pot because I'm convinced of pretty much one thing, that this player has an ace, and a lot of times you'll see players call for a chop. You know what I'm saying? Because I think all the hands better than mine. Hands with a 9 are very unlikely, but tens, jacks, queens, kings, tens, jacks, queens, I think all would have bet at some point here. So there's really no hand I'm actually afraid of, except for, like, I guess, a suited ace 4. But there's not too many of those left, man. There's only 2 combinations of those. But other than that, there's really nothing I'm scared of, because I think at some point one of those hands would have bet, right? On the turn, you're going to bet a pair of tens, you're going to bet a pair of jacks, you're going to bet a pair of queens, for sure. So the fact that this scenario is very likely an ace high and will look like a chop to this guy. So you can make it look like you know that you have an ace and you're taking a free shot. I might even go 3 or 4x pot here. Like, just because it's like, haha, I want the pot, you're not getting a chop. I've seen players call like into 10 big blind pots. I've made players call 40 big blind river jams into their face, and they do it with ace high. And this is before the bubble bust, mid place of a tournament, and it got me the chip lead. It's just insane. Like, players don't want to get bluffed. I get bluffed all day. I get bluffed dozens of times a day, and I'm fine with that. That's part of the game. I just look at it from my perspective and what's right. If you show me a bluff, okay, it's part of playing the game. I'm not supposed to sniff out every bluff. I'm supposed to let hands go when it's not good for me. And betting, 12 blinds here, just donking 12 blinds here, I think gets called a high percentage of the time, and I really made a mistake here. So I wanted to put this one in because I missed that opportunity and explain that opportunity when it comes up. And he had ace queen, and I think he calls us a high percentage of the time. We can definitely bet less than the pot and get called, that's for sure. So we just left value on the table. That being said, it was very early in the tournament, and that's probably why I didn't give a shit. Like, this pot was 1,000 chips for more than 5 big blinds. So it was super early, so it didn't matter all that much, but still, it's a mistake, in-game mistake. Which, I think I like to acknowledge them, just so I don't make them again. So min raise out of first. We see a call there. We decided to go ahead and call it just because in this tournament we're kind of, it's late reg. We're kind of just trying to get something to go with or, to be able to kind of get there. So I like to play between 20 and 25 blinds. I kind of like to flop more out of the small and big because if I catch a slice, it's a great opportunity with a weird hand to double up. So we see a call. It's a 4-way pot. We make a 5, and we just go ahead and lead at it for 8 big blinds. And the point of this is, this flop, true equity should only be over pairs. Like, true, hands that have us beat should only be hands like jacks, tens, queens, kings, things like that. Or sets, right? Not a lot of those going around. But when we bet this much, we're saying I'm willing to go with it. So who goes with us? Well, a flush draw goes with us for sure if it's this guy. But I don't think these guys go with it. You know what I'm saying? Because I might even be betting right at 2 pair. Just my hand looks so strong because of the size and positional disadvantage of my bet and my stack disadvantage. So I essentially leveraged my whole stack by betting less than that. Now, am I ever folding here when I'm jammed on? No. That's not a consideration. But if I'm looking to get in on this flop, why check and let somebody price themselves in when I'm so short on chips? I have 22 blinds. If it checks to the razor and he bets 3 big blinds, and then it comes back to me, I mean, if I jam 22 blinds, he can fold. But then again, he might sit there and go, well, it's another 19 big blinds for me to win 34 I don't know, man. With a flush draw, maybe I can get an overpair is good. I don't want him talking himself into figuring out my range and playing perfectly. So when I lead out, somebody with a flush draw is like, shit, this guy could just have two pair, and then I don't have many outs at all. So I think it's better for these purposes, in this exact scenario, to just lead it. I like it because I wanted to take it down, and that pot actually really made a turnaround in that tournament for me. I remember it. King Queen on the button. I think this is one where, yeah, there was a raise and a call from two stacks that I have covered, but we're all about the same, so it's equally threatening. This is a spot that I'm just patting myself on the back for recognizing. I didn't used to squeeze enough from the button. I had a problem squeezing from the small blind enough, but that's quickly remedied because a lot of people talk about it. Squeezing from the button, it took me a lot longer to get right because I didn't recognize the spots. So what I started doing is I started saying, wait a minute, if I had, because I know it sounds silly, but it just made it simpler. If I had king queen in the small blind and this is a raise and a call and the button folded, what would I do? I would squeeze. So what I did was I made my position worse in order to squeeze. Now, there are differences when you're on the button. So I'm going to say that to myself, find my small blind squeezing range, and then go, well, but if the hand is king queen suited, then it's just call. I don't need to 3-bet that, right? The reason why I'm 3-betting here is that I'm trying to fare better in pots where one pair wins it. So if I 3-bet and I get called by, the original raiser, and I hit a king, I'm probably good. You know what I'm saying? Unless he's just trapping me. But usually ace king is going to 4-bet here, and then we can just get away from it. But I'm trying to figure out that my king or queen top pair will be best. So that's my goal of accomplishing this squeeze with a good hand that's not too good to, a hand that's good enough to raise, too good to fold, but also not good enough to call. Because king queen suited, I can just call here all day and really lay in the weeds with a much stronger hand. I would 3-bet it a lot, but I think king queen offsuit, I'm going to 3-bet here on the button in this situation probably about 80 or 90% of the time, just because that's what you do with this hand. It's probably higher. It's probably like 90, 95. But king queen suited, I'm probably going to 3-bet it about 60% of the time. And then the rest of the time, just call, because the hand is so valuable and plays great multi-way. Hey, ace king. I didn't get many of these yesterday. Ace kings. I really didn't. It's funny when that hand doesn't show up much for you. It really changes your day. You can go weeks without getting aces and it really doesn't change the results that much. Aces just kind of like make big things happen, but ace king kind of, because of its card removal, it kind of has a lot of influence on the game, and it is much more common than getting aces. Didn't get it that much. So I went 2.5x at a time when it was proper to in the tournament. I got raised here by this player to 8 big blinds, which isn't awful. It's a little big. I think you can go 7 here or even 6.5 because of I'm in early position and then he's in an early-ish position. You know what I'm saying? He's in the low jack, so there's still all these players behind to beat. I think if you're going to make this raise, you're probably not as strong as you should be to be 3-betting this big. I know that sounds weird, but to properly 3-bet this big, you probably can handle a 4-bet, meaning queens, kings, aces. If you're 3-betting this, but that's the thing, people with those hands won't 3-bet this big because the hands are stronger. So it becomes a weird dynamic where aces here would only 3-bet to 6.5 to 7 blinds, but a hand like ace queen offsuit from a very aggressive player might 3-bet to 8, even 8.5, 9 blinds. You know what I'm saying? Because we're trying to force the pressure so much. And it makes proportionally my 4-bet, when I make it, much larger. So it does fold back around to me, and of course I do 4-bet, and it's a proper 4-bet. Now, granted, it is proportionally bigger than if he had gone 6.5. It would have been like 19 or 20, but it doesn't really matter because I had kind of a read on this guy that he was 3-betting way too much. Hadn't done it to me at all, but I was coming out of first, and I was noticing he was doing it to guys coming out of first and second, and it just didn't seem... It seemed like it was something he liked to do when he had position. So I decided, okay, well, if I get anything good, I'm going to 4-bet it, and Ace King is well good enough, and I had already said I'm not going to fold if this guy jams. But he just folded, and we take down a nice pot just by recognizing a good 4-bet spot. Now, there's a lot of times in first position where I will just call that bet because we do have so many blinds, and I'd like to trap with it. But this is a player who I felt was going to c-bet 100% of flops. He was going to barrel 100% of turns, and he was going to jam 100% of rivers. And in that scenario, we can play the pot for everything early. Because if I don't hit an ace or a king, I'm just going to get skunked. So I'd rather just get it in now. I think he had something like ace-jack, honestly, and he's just overplaying it. Ace-10 offsuit. All right, ace-10 offsuit. We open from second position. Get a call in the big blind. There's a king 7-3. Checks to us. We do go ahead and make the standard c-bet. You know, we should have ace-king, king-queen a lot. Turn comes off king. Player took a long time to check. And then we just bet it again. And we bet it not properly. We bet it a little low. So my standard bet here on the turn without, you know, such a polarizing board, like if it was king 7-3 9 or something like that, or king 7-3 deuce, or king 7-3 queen, you know, any of those little, you know, not as polarized, you either have a king or you don't have a king. If there's a little more wiggle room to it, I would bet around 6.5 to 7 blinds because I'm betting off the pot. So if I have ace king, right, and the board is 3 king 7 9, and I've c-bet the flop, I'm gonna go for value and I'm gonna protect my hand. You know, and if like a fucking 6 came on the turn or something like that, that could easily be, you know, I could be up against a draw, I could be up against the guy chasing 2 pair. You know what I'm saying? So I'd want to charge him, so I would bet bigger. In this instance, if you think deeply about it, he called us because he wants to see us bet again. Then a king hits. It's far less likely we have a king in our hand. If we did have a king in our hand, we would want to continue betting because we would want to continue getting money in the pot for one, but we also wouldn't want to become suspicious. So if we had ace king here, we wouldn't want to check, you know, because one, it doesn't serve any purposes. But what we would want to do is we wouldn't want to scare our opponent away. And I'm thinking on the level of what a bad player would think and do what they do to get a fold. So a bad player would want to continue betting here, and they would want to continue betting in the middle, not polarized, because bad players don't polarize bets. Good players polarize bets. So they would either bet super tiny, right, which would be like 3 big blinds or even less. I mean, they would bet like 1.4, which would just get a fold immediately. As funny as it sounds, it would get a fold immediately from this player. Or they would try to go for value, but they don't want to scare anybody. I don't want to bet too much. So they would bet right around half pot, maybe a little bit more, which is what I decided to go with in this exact instance. Looking back, I think I would have liked to have tried the small bet because I think it works well. But the truth of the matter is, this bet, I think, works about 90 to 80, 85, 90% of the time when our opponent doesn't have a king. I think he even gives up a 7 here a lot, just because it looks so much like a king. And he took a long, long time, I remember, and then he folded. And this is just an example of thinking through the whole hand and the dynamics going on that allow you to take down the pot. And, yeah, you don't want to lose to a big blind hand with like a 3, you know, and just let some guy make a hero call on you. Like, why not make it tougher on him, you know? So we see a min raise from a shorter stacked player. We are all pretty short stacked at this point, except for like this one dude. Well, I guess these 2 guys. So it's kind of their show, but I get to defend. The flop comes off, and I have the backdoor heart draw. I have the backdoor straight draw. Goes check, check. I pick up the open ender. I decide to go ahead and lead now. I should have a lot of good hands here. I should have a lot of good draws here, so I decided to do that. And I was just setting up a river barrel, because like if a heart comes off, if a 7, if a queen, if a king, you know, if an 8 comes off, you know, any of those cards come off, I can really reasonably bluff. And believe it or not, if a 10 comes off, I can just get all the money in because the other player's never going to have a 10. And he's never going to have a jack when he didn't raise me on the turn. So if a 10 of diamonds hits the river, there'll be 11 in the pot. I would just jam all in because that's the only bet left because nobody's going to bet 9 big blinds and leave themselves with, you know, fucking 5 big blinds at this point. They're either going to jam it all in and get doubled, or not get paid at all. Nobody wants to cripple themselves. You know what I'm saying? You'd rather be out of the tournament than have like 5 big blinds at this stage. You know, so just an interesting way to put it. I think the turn lead is well thought out. Queen Jack suited. We go ahead and make a raise in under the gun +2. We flop the jack. Player checks, and I played this one a little differently. I figured it's very likely that I have the best hand, so I decided to check it, and I'm kind of playing a trap for value. Turn comes off a 9. He checks. I decide to go ahead and bet, and I bet smaller than I normally would. Normally I bet like 3.5, but I think it's close. But I just really don't feel like my opponent has much. He does call. The turn comes off, and he checks, and I decide to go ahead and go for big value. And our friend calls us and has pocket 8s. Third pair, right? Now, if I bet the flop, right, is he going to call a flop, turn, and river bet? I mean, sometimes, but only if he has a preconceived notion in his head about me, right? And anytime you're trying to convince players that you do certain things during game, like, people aren't that observant, man. Like, even specific reads that I make, they're really not they're not player dependent. They're generalized. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I could see a guy who looks a certain way. Maybe he's a certain ethnicity. Maybe he's from a certain part of the country. Maybe he's from a different country or something like that. Maybe he's got a certain kind of job. What's his age? What's his this? What's his that? Like, all these are live tell things. And with all these little clues, you can put them together and put a generalized thing together. Right, like somebody from upstate New York, is gonna play poker completely differently than somebody from, from Austin, Texas, and they're gonna play differently than people from Las Vegas. And I'm saying just the average player. And when you're dealing with somebody, any information you can find out about, you figure they're the average player. You don't give them credit for being exceptional until they show you it. So I think checking here gets a lot of value a lot of times. He didn't want to 3-bet pre-flop. He wanted to take a safe flop. And that even tells even more story because he was in the big blind and he could have definitely 3-bet here just because there are such a range of hands I'm going to have when I'm opening at this point. But he decided he wanted to see a safe flop. So then, when we check the flop, he's got to figure he's good, right? So then he checks, and then I bet reasonably, a little small, but reasonably. It looks kind of bad, bluffy size, He can easily call. I'm surprised I didn't get check raised here now that I know he has 8s. But, like, what jacks, what 9s do I have? Like, I think he's just worried about me having, like, a monster, like a set of jacks, or, like, an overpair. But I think most of the time we've walked him into believing that we have a bad hand. I think I actually could have even bet bigger here, like 9.5 to 10 big blinds. And I think that gets called more often because it looks like more of a bluff. Because players try to bet big to look like they're bluffing, but getting called here by pocket 8s is just monstrous. And we made a great pot, man. This is a new one that I've integrated into my my arsenal of plays. The conceivable nuts. You know what I'm saying? Conceivable nuts. Conceivably, what's the nuts here? A set, right? Like, unless somebody has like the ace-5 of diamonds or the ace-5 of hearts, like, what's the conceivable nuts here? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a set. And when a set is the conceivable nuts between the hands the players can have, it's not very likely, man. So that's when top pair becomes super strong. The only real hands that I think we lose to here are the random 9s that could call. And they would have to be like a suited 9, which I think would have led the turn. So I think when we get called here and lose, the bottom of the barrel is bad jacks like Jack 5, but player calling the flop pre-flop with that, I don't know. Or random 2 pairs, right? Like, Jack 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, the guy hangs onto a jack and then hits a 4 and decides to just check call because there's no reason to raise. You know what I'm saying? Or like, 9 deuce. That could happen. The 9 deuce of, hearts could happen. The 9 deuce of, well, I guess it couldn't. I'm trying to think of it. Whatever. Some random 2 pair. But other than that, I think we win here a very high percentage of the time. And if we look at Poker Tracker's own percentages, we're going to win here 84% of the time. And when you're in a situation where versus the deck, you're going to win 84% of the time, you can use a little bit of your brain and then just get a lot of good value. So I really like the way I played this one. And I'm kind of proud of it because I'm integrating that checking the flop top pair more often. Because if you only do it when you have ace jack here, you're going to be doing it far less often. But if I can do it in this exact scenario when I have queen jack, king jack, ace jack, jack 10, now I'm going to get more opportunities to win more bigger pots and more comfortably win them. You know, no sweats. A lot of people here. Didn't check on you guys yet. Thank you very much for coming out. Getting a lot of people noticing what's going on. I think the word's spreading that I am Flippa. And there was a lot of great people that I had that used to come out and watch me. And I'm appreciating all their support, loving it. And it's motivating me. I got new edits, man. I just posted something brand new last night that I am super proud of on YouTube. So please, 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 exclamation point YouTube, please go check it out. It took me about 15 hours of editing time to get it done. Please go to the new YouTube and check out Jedi Mind Tricks. It's number 8. And it's out of order because I got so obsessed with this one project that I just, the other ones, 5, 6, and 7 are going to come out later today. But I just couldn't finish them. I was like, I have to do this one. And, on Friday, I spent about 13 hours editing it and finding the media and doing things like that and learning Shotcut along the way, the editing software. And then last night, it took me a couple hours to just clean it up and make sure the sound was right and put the intro and the outro on it. And I'm really proud of it. Now, granted, everything's a rough cut. You know what I'm saying? Everything is, I'm learning. I'm going to get better at Shotcut along the way. But I think this one came out really fucking good. I really do. So I'd really love people to see it, retweet it, put it out in tweets, sample it, do whatever you want, man. I don't give a shit about that. If you want to share my shit, I don't give a shit. Go ahead. Like, I don't get these guys who are like, they turn off clips. It's like, dude, clip the stream. Like, I've seen so many people who shut that off, and it's like, do you not realize that's like advertising? Like, are you like the king of Twitch? Like, why are you not letting people look at your shit? But I'm really proud of it, and I'm very excited for it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And I'd love the feedback. In the comments, I'd love feedback. Just, maybe this transition didn't work well, or was this switch, but, at this marker point, was it too harsh, or I don't know, whatever. But, give it to me, man, because I'm looking to improve. Excuse me a minute. Oh, I needed that. All right. Ace 5 offsuit. I just folded. Why did I tag this hand? I tagged a hand that I folded. I must have tagged the wrong hand. Well, that was a good review. Okay, what do we get out of it? Don't play Ace 5 offsuit. Oh, that's why I did it. Oh, I just realized why I did it. I got it. So I have 17 and a half blinds, right? And at this point in the tournament, let's see here. Where are we? Yeah, 24K. It's mid-range. I believe the average was about 40K. So I was screwed, but not totally screwed, right? Like, I could look for a spot to get some awesome hand. Can you repeat it? Thanks, Punish. No. So I'm screwed, but not totally screwed. So the reason why I marked this and wanted to review it is that I think a lot of players here just jam, which, don't get me wrong, has a lot of merit, but 14 or 15 big blinds, 15 big blinds, 11 big blinds, we kind of get called here wider than you would think. Like, King Jack in any one of these hands should call us, right? So open ripping 17 big blinds looks like it's weak as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Because it is. If I had a hand like Ace King here, would I open rip 17 and a half big blinds? Now, when I say would I, you have to answer correctly. I would, because I want to get the money in and look, weak. I don't believe many players would. I think many players would go to the small bet here and just min open whatever the standard was. But in relation to my stack, I'm not looking to play small ones. I'm looking to play bigger ones, you know, when I have a smaller stack. So for me, I would open it probably 2.5x if I had like ace queen and wanted to get it in. But ace king, I'm just going to rip a dip. But players don't know that. You know what I'm saying? So they're going to go, oh, I can call this with, you know, king jack, queen jack, and just put me at risk, which is not what I'm looking to do because I was not going to re-enter this tournament at this time. So I highlighted it just because of that dynamic. It wasn't a good spot to raise because of all the short stacks. That's why I did it. Let's see. Pocket fours. This is another one where I folded it because I'm in second position and I only have 17 blinds. But again, look at all the stacks. We're kind of close. So if you're going to play a pot here, you're pretty much going to play for it all. There's some instances where you can steal, but 15 big blinds behind, 24, 15, you know, 14 here, 20 in the big blind. So pocket fours is just too weak, and I think players just go broke in those spots way too often. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, it's just not playable. It's not in the range. I think my minimum here, honestly, in that range is going to be pocket sevens, and I'm just going to open it, and if somebody jams, we're just going to call it off most of the time, depending on who it is. But I think that's a good point to make that, you know, your range should, you don't have to open up your range because you're short on chips. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can still play properly. And there are proper ranges for all those chip stacks. Player opens super small in this particular tournament. We were still all opening to 2.5 or even more. And this player goes 2.1 on the button. I decided to go ahead and 3-bet, and this is another pat on the back that I recognize the spot to 3-bet. A lot of times I would have just called here or not 3-bet enough. So that's a little pat on the back for me. These are just little leaks that I had. Like, I know this stuff is easy. Good. I would have folded too for same reason. I'm learning. I mean, I'm glad, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the thing. There are proper ranges. On the coaching site, pokercoaching.com, under the tools section, you can put in any stack size, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go back and do it. Okay. It was this hand, right? So check it out. I'm going to bring up Jonathan Little's poker site. I don't know why I didn't think to do this. Because I do this all the time. I actually have this on my phone. And I do this all the time just when I'm out. Like if I'm bored or something like that. And I have to like wait somewhere. I'll think of cards. When I took a plane trip a couple of weeks ago. About 4 months ago. Out for a bar mitzvah. I was doing this on the plane the whole time. Where I was just pulling cards. And then saying, okay, you know, how many big blinds do I have? And then I would just pick a random number and go, okay, I should be doing this with this hand, right? So let's go to the GTO tournament pre-flop charts, right? Let's check it out. And it looks like this. And this is just a tools package, right? Let me make sure I'm getting it on the screen here. So this is a tools package, right? So let's make it a little bit bigger. Hang on. It's kind of hard because my monitor is kind of made for ease of use, so it's not exactly a computer monitor. Awesome tool earlier to look it up than the big fucking matrices. Right, exactly. You don't need 100 pieces of paper, right? I used it 20 big blinds was the limit for all the free stuff. Well, let me show you this. So 17, we're going to call this 18 big blinds, right? And we are under the gun plus 1, right? Because there's, wait a minute, there's only 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players. So cutoff, hijack, low jack, under the gun plus 1, under the gun plus 2, essentially the same range, right? So let's check it out. Where's my goddamn toolbar? There we go. Okay, so we have about 18 big blinds. I'm going to go ahead and err on the side. Well, let's do both. So we have 20 big blinds. Our position, under the gun plus 1. And raising first in, these are the hands we need. Look at that! Pocket fours ain't even on the list, bro. Ain't even on the list. It's off the chart. Fold 100% of the time. No debate. Pocket fives, raise sometimes. Kind of depends on the table dynamic, but it's very small. Pocket sixes was where we first come in. Now, I was wrong. I said pocket sevens. So I was wrong. My range was a little too tight. But if you're getting that close, it's kind of okay. Although with pairs, it's kind of a big deal. So I'm glad I looked this one up. Let's go with 15 big blinds, right? Let's see where it's at. Boom. It's even less so. It's less on the pocket fives. It's never on the pocket fours. And now look, there's actually an all-in jam a certain percentage of the time. And this basically just means for range balance. In the tournaments that I play, at the levels I play, we don't worry about balancing range because these players aren't that observant. So I'm just going to raise here 100% of the time. I'm never going to do the all-in thing. That also means we're calling off the all-in. I love hands like this where you go, the computer figured out that King 10 suited is a straight jam for 15 big blinds under the gun +2, but King Jack suited is only a raise half the time and an all-in half the time. That's the shit that I love, right? This is a great fucking tool. And I used, like everybody else, I used to have like all these fucking charts, and I still do it. Like I'll make copies of certain ones, like I'll screenshot them when I'm working on different courses on Jonathan Little's site. But other than that, man, just you can play with this for hours. Like I can sit there in the small blind and, you know, from the small blind position, and it also changes, you know, when somebody else has raised first in or facing a 3-bet or whatever, you know what I'm saying? If it's not raised first in, it's versus a raise. You know, then what's our range look like? Well, now pocket fives is an all in very rarely, and even pocket sevens doesn't go all in very much because it's under the gun is raising, right? Pocket eights is an all in, boom, every time. And this kind of stuff just makes you confident where you'll be sitting there in tournaments and it'll be like, oh, look, a raise. Okay, cool, I'm all in. And then everybody in the chat goes like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And it's just like, dude, you do that with pocket eights. Like, do you not know this? Like, versus perceived opening range under the gun +2 with 17 big blinds, I'm all in. Sorry. Like, and it's just like, because you can't afford to throw away this hand and be wrong. You know what I'm saying? And you also, the range is too wide and you're going to level yourself off. And that's against a perfect GTO opening range. I ain't got that, and I work as hard as fuck on this. Almost nobody's got that. I'd say if anybody's got that, there's probably 2 or 3 guys that have a perfect GTO range, but even then it's subjective because it kind of depends on which tool you're using. But I think based on PioSolver, there's probably 2 guys, and it's probably Jonathan Little and Doug Polk. And those are probably the 2 guys. Doug Polk more so for heads up, but I don't know if anybody else is that GTO. I think a lot of players don't start with as strong a base of GTO. So that's fun that we did that. I like that. I'm going to start doing that more. I like bringing it in. What did you say there? Have to go AFK a bit. Back in about 10 minutes if you're still on. Cool, man. I'll be here. We got a few more hands to do. I appreciate it, man. But thanks for bringing that up because I'm glad we did the hand. Ranging it and such. Okay, we're on the next 4-4 now. So we see a raise under the gun. All right, now I got to do it because we have 4-4 with 36 big blinds, 35 big blinds, under the gun +2, same position, right? So I got to do it now. I get addicted. So we're going to go 40 big blinds because we're above 35. If we were below 30, we can even go 30. We'll do them both. We're under the gun +1 versus a raise, and our opponent's position is under the gun. With pocket fours, we are supposed to call 27% of the time, fold 73% of the time. So it is proper with 40 big blinds. What is it with 30 big blinds? With 30 big blinds, we're supposed to fold it. So for me, I'm going to extrapolate. If it's 100% fold at 30 big blinds, and it's a call 27% of the time at 40 big blinds, right? Then that means that I should be folding this at 35 big blinds, right in the middle. I should be folding this the majority of the time, about 84% of the time, and calling it about 12 or 13% of the time. Just a way to even out between where the charts fit. That being said, I did call the hand because of the expected value. This player had been raising a lot and not really continuing on a lot of flops. So therefore, I think my stack plays bigger. So when I'm in situations like that where the player is opening like their strongest pre-flop and then they kind of give up or whatever, I'll increase in my head, the variable of my stack by a bit. So let's go up for this hand for 60 big blinds. And what do you do with pocket fours then? Well, then you're calling pocket fours 30% of the time. And if you believe the expected value is through the roof, you're going to call it 100% of the time. So I would say that I'm correct here. against this specific player in this specific instance at this specific tournament at this specific time. Because my stack plays bigger because of his passive nature. So we see a 4-way flop. We have position. That's pretty awesome. That gives us a lot of fun things we can do. It gets checked around, and we decide to go ahead and just bet. Because if nobody has anything, this is one of those ones where we can start setting up, taking it down. Now, I don't ever expect to win this pot versus 3 players with 1 bet. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to make this bet, because I can bet again. And I know that. And we see a fold and we see a call. This is the big blind, so he's most likely to have something, right? Second pair, maybe a draw. Player under the gun calls. That's kind of scary, right? But he could just have ace-king. He could have ace-queen. He could definitely have hands like king-queen, you know? So I don't think he wants to fold, especially when he's getting this price, because I just made a pretty reasonable bet, and then it gets called once, and he's like, well, I'm getting like inf to 1 here, so I can go ahead and call. And he does, and the turn comes off a deuce. These 2 players, it shouldn't improve them much. I took a few seconds and decided to just check it, because I was like, well, I'm not going to bet him off any draws, right? Like, even if, like, the worst draws are going to call me here, because I'd have to bet, like, 14, right? And then somebody with queen 10 is just going to jam a lamb. You really enjoy the Ranger training site. It has quizzes on all of the charts. You know, you might really enjoy the Ranger training site. It has quizzes on all of the charts. Huh. I'll have to check it out. But I use Jonathan Little's poker site, which I already spent a whole shitload of money on. But yeah, I'll check it out. You might really enjoy the Ranger training site. My only problem with using other ranges is that I don't know what they're based on. So my general GTO is based on Pio Solver Solutions, which is what they use on that site. So, oh no, everything just got minimized. Oh my God, where did it go? Where the hell is everything? Hang on a sec, guys. I'm sorry. Dude, where's all my I just had everything. Where is it? Okay, here we go. Wow, that sucked. Everything just totally got minimized because I rolled that over the wrong thing. What a fucking idiot I am. So yeah, no, I appreciate the suggestion, but I very rarely look at other ones. Sorry, might spell check range. Check Range Trainer Pro. Oh, yeah. I know Range Trainer Pro. It's pretty much the same from what you see. Yeah. It's very close. Range Trainer Pro is actually very close. And I've used it. I actually have it on my phone. Yeah. No, it's a good one. Where is it? I have it on here somewhere. It's on, I have like 5 poker tabs on my phone. Like, I do the folder thing. So I never know where shit is. Like, I'm just the worst with it. Yep. Range Trainer Pro, right there. Yeah, no, I like that one. Pretty much the same, yeah. I just like looking it up specifically at that point, like, because for me, it's also more conducive than going through, okay, where's my big blind chart? Okay, who's the, I'm saying, and like flipping through. But I do like the Range Trainer Pro quizzes. They're a lot of fun. I did those in a dentist office. I was waiting for like 3 hours a while ago. And I was doing those just like the whole time actually on that app. I think it was the first day I had it. It's a lot of fun. And when you got to wait 3 fucking hours because you needed a crown adjusted, then it's definitely something good to do. That's pro tip for you. So the turn here comes off the deuce. Now, if I had a pair, I should still be good, right? But, we don't want to bet it and then have to jam the river. And, it checks to me, and this is a reasonable spot to bet. My jack should be good all the time, right? The 6 doesn't change anything. I could have had a deuce and been trapping. It's just, here's the thing. All I'm trying to do is not get called by a 9. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think a jack really folds here, but I think we would have heard about a jack before now. And the players did fold. And this is one of those ones where they had so little personally invested. This was a 4-way pot, remember, and there's only 19 big blinds in the pot. They didn't have much personally invested, so it's easy for people to give it up when facing the big bet on the river. So big river bets, usually have to mean something important. But I like this, and we stole this pot. I feel like I was definitely beat. It's very rare that nobody had something that beat me there. Ooh, did my camera froze? Look at that. Oh, that's what happened. Zoom went down. Here we go. Hey! Now it's working. I always have to check that, man, because Zoom is such a fucking... Oh, I guess I gotta restart it, right? Dude. Alright. Okay, now it's working. Cool. It's so fucking stupid. Okay, cool. Alright, pocket queens. Let's just move on here. We see a raise out of like early position. It's really not that great. Oh, god damn it. Goddamn Zoom. Why you do this to me? Why you hate me so much? There it goes. Alright. New meeting for the Zoom. Because I wish to the Zoom. Oh, dude, come on. Come on. This is annoying. There it goes. Alright. I guess I learned my lesson not to fuck around with the thing while I'm fucking streaming. Alright. So we see a raise. It's way too small out of first. So we go ahead and 3-bet. Player calls. Flop comes off with an ace on it. Obviously not the flop we want to see, but he did raise small and not 4-bet us, so he shouldn't have a lot of aces. So I go ahead and check it to him. He checks back. The turn comes, and I bet good for value. I'm basically feeling like I'm good here all the time because I feel like an ace would have, bet or whatever. Yeah, it's not working. Just a black box. Yeah, it's weird, man. It gets screwed up. I don't know why. Like, I've changed some settings, so it kind of has to... it kind of has to like settle in and get restarted and updated before it works perfectly. But after I fixed it yesterday, it worked fine. But I think it was just because I screwed up the screen. So this is one where we can confidently bet the turn. Even though, like, this is a bad flop for us. Like, what aces does he ever have here, right? So I just bet the turn for value because I'm looking to get called by pairs lower than an ace. Which, believe it or not, he has a lot of jacks. He has a lot of tens. He has a lot of eights. You know what I'm saying? He has a lot of flush draws. I'm looking to charge those. He has a lot of hands that'll come along that don't contain an ace, believe it or not. And I think this is a spot players miss. It's like, what do you do here when, you check? And then you bet river, and he raises. You know what I'm saying? Because I would do that without an ace here. But granted, the hand started out screwed up where he raised too small. So I think we just had the best hand, and there's no reason to show down here. We can just take it away. But I was betting that big just for value. Let's see here. Ace queen off. Excuse me a second. Always a lot of talking on Monday because I'm just doing all reviews. It's crazy. So we see a min raise here. Player jams. Comes back to me, and I guess I folded this one, right? Oh, no. Okay, I see it. So, okay. So, we min open here out of second. This player jams for 16 big blinds, and this player just calls it. And when this player just calls it, it's like, why are you just calling? Because even though I don't have much more left, you should want to protect, right? So if you have ace-king, you should be jamming here. Because, I don't know, like, maybe you send the wrong signal by calling and I end up calling too. So that range should be super strong from this guy in the big blind. But it just seemed kind of too weird. And this is a very tempting spot to go broke. But when he just called it, I was like, you know what? I feel like this is one where I'm just going to run into fucking aces or kings a lot. So I'm just going to go ahead and pitch this one. And I wasn't doing great in this tournament, but I still had 20 blinds at this point, and I felt like, I could still do a lot with that. But the blinds were going up quickly, and we were pretty far into it and pretty far away from the cash. So I just folded it, and what was the run out? Yeah, it was kings, right? Yeah. And it's just interesting that if he had just jammed it, I'm way more likely to call. Like, if he jams there, it's like, he can have a pair. You know what I'm saying? And then this guy's going all in, blah, blah. Like, I might not call it I'm probably not going to call it with ace-queen, honestly. But ace-king all day. All day, 3 ways if he jams. But when he just calls, I probably fold the ace-king. Same deal. Ace-king suited, no way. Speaking of suited, king-queen suited on the button. We see a raise out of first. This is that interesting scenario that I was talking about where there's a lot of 3-bets on the button. Like, if I'm going to play king-queen off on the button here, even versus an early position raiser, I'm going to 3-bet. Just because the hand's not strong enough to call. In this instance, we have the suited variety, which is strong enough to call. We flop a queen. Pretty good. Pretty dry board. I decided to go ahead and check it. Because unless somebody has a set or an overpair, which they don't have, overpair would have bet here. Unless somebody has a set, we're going to have the best hand, right? Sets are weird 2 pairs. So we just go ahead and check. You know, we can kind of let player catch up enough to pay us something. It goes check. This player bets out pretty big. I decided to just call it because it looked like a fearful bet. Like his bet should be a little smaller to be proper, maybe 4.5. And I remember in game, I think he did this pretty quickly. So I decided to just call it after a little bit of a pause because I felt like he would bluff again on the river. Turn comes off, or river comes off a 4. He checks, and now I bet big. And he does just fold, so he didn't have anything. I think sometimes betting big here, like betting more than I would for value, is good. Like, I should have probably even went bigger, like 16.5, 17. Yes, 16.5 I like. 17 big blinds, somewhere in there. Because then we're going to get heroed by a 9, right? But I don't think he even had a pair, so he's probably just on ace high and just took a shot. But it just looks so obvious. Hey, honey.
Hey.
Sorry, I got a little ways to go here.
It's, I walked in and I could smell the pumpkins. Like, yeah. What was that?
I mean, I guess they have a smell, right?
Yeah, it smells like pumpkin seeds.
Well, they are pumpkins full of seeds.
They are.
Courtney got some cute little pumpkins, and we're fascinated by them, apparently.
Yes. And Zuri called me last night and we discussed having a pumpkin carving party.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah, so I think I'm just going to invite a bunch of people to come over and carve pumpkins.
Nice.
But yeah. I'm going to shower and then Mom's going to go with me up to CPL. And then we're going to go to Sephora to get the free perfumes.
Oh, yeah, your birthday. Courtney's the master of signing up for a company she likes and then getting free shit on her birthday. It's like a tradition every year. She goes around with her mother, and they're like, I'm getting free perfume over here, and there's a free makeup here, and I got a burger over here.
Yeah, Taco Bell sent me a taco this year.
Taco Bell sent you a taco. It's like, so she's getting birthday gifts no matter what.
It's so funny that you brought that up because I was literally laying there this morning and Michael was like, what are you doing? Because I was like, yes. Yeah. So what are you doing? I was like, my birthday emails are finally coming in. I got Denny's, I got Taco Bell, El Pollo Loco, Jack in the Box, Fogo de Chao, Torrid. I finally got my $10 from Torrid.
Torrid, yeah.
So I'm like, and he was like, what do you do? I was like, after I get them all, I pick a day, and I choose like 1 or 2 a day, and I just go and use them.
Yeah.
My shit. It's free stuff, people.
Right.
On search.
And it's good stuff from some of the companies, you know.
On search. We got to go get all the free stuff.
Have missed you.
You missed Mama. I was talking about you the whole night because I missed you too. I was missing the babies.
All right, let's do the next one. Pocket tens. Open standard in first. We see a jam ball for 14 big blinds, and we see a call, and we see a re-raise. This is just ridiculous. This call here, I said it in game, this is the most dangerous thing because this dude, I opened in first. This guy 3-bet reopens the betting for 14. I have 73, 74 blinds, something like that. He's got just about the same stack covered a little bit, and he just calls. That's the most dangerous thing I've ever seen, and I said it in game. And then this player behind goes ahead and jams, and I laughed at that, and I said, well, we're just snap folding because this is the most dangerous thing I've ever seen. And the dude's, of course, snap called, and hey, look at that. Pocket aces, right? Now, the thing that pisses me off is that I had pocket tens, and I would have won this hand, right? And if this guy hadn't jammed, I would have called the 14 big blinds, obviously. And this moron jammed with ace-king here, thinking this is ever a race. This really upset me. I did very well in this tournament anyway. This obviously one pot doesn't make a tournament, but I think if he hadn't done that, I really think I win. I at least win the 50 in the middle, and I think I definitely can win it all because we're about even in chips. There's 50 in the middle. I'm going to check it. He's going to bet or check. And whatever bet he makes into 50, like 20, 25, we're only going to have like 50 each left, and there's going to be over 80 in the pot. I'm probably getting it all here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can even check raise the flop and get it in because he might think I have a spade draw, right? It's just ridiculous. This really pissed me off. This is where a really bad player cost me a huge pot and probably a final table. Not like I couldn't have made the final table from there, but it just would have been so much easier. Ace 10 off. I decided to go ahead and just rip this one. This is one we're going to put on the chart, and I just wanted to range this one properly because this was on the borderline for me because I did have like 18 blinds, so I'm under the gun. Where am I? I'm 1, 2, under the gun +2, so cut off hijack. I'm in the low jack essentially because of the shorthanded table, right? Yeah, I'm in the low jack, so we'll call it 20 big blinds just to take the conservative route, and we're going to say it's the low jack and it's raising first in. Ace 10 offsuit, it's a raise 100%. Now if I go down to 15 big blinds, it's a jam only a quarter of the time, so I should only be jamming this hand about, if I take the difference between those two, I should only be jamming this hand about 12% of the time and raising the rest of the time. So I'm going to count this as a mistake. It's definitely a raise. I mean, I even have more than that. I even have 19 big blinds. Yeah, I should only be raising this one, or I should only be jamming this one about 7% of the time, I think. So this is a raise all day. I kind of knew I screwed this one up, but again, the table was playing very tight, so I felt like jamming would work better than raising because tight players, while they're conservative with the getting all the chips in, they're gonna flop a lot because they're like, well, I still have this many chips, and they call, or I still have this many chips, and I call, and they just do this over and over and over again. And this isn't a hand I really wanted to barrel with because I don't have enough chips. If I had 30 big blinds, I think I would have just opened, but that's an obvious open, right? Let's change it to 30 big blinds, and it's a raise 100% of the time, of course. But it's one of those ones where I knew I kind of screwed it up in game. That being said, there is a 7 to 10% chance that I'm supposed to jam here. I think versus this specific table, it goes up a little bit. But like I said, I'm playing tournaments where we're taking broad generalizations. So I'm not going to try to say if I do this thing 15% of the time, I'm not going to try to do that 15% of the time. I'm just going to go 100% the other way because it's not that serious, man. Let's see here. Ace 8 off. A lot of blind hands today. I like that. A lot of good blind play. So we decided to go ahead and jam. This is a pretty good squeeze. We're fairly deep in this one, I believe. Yeah, we're pretty deep here. How many chips is that? Yeah, so the blinds are at, what is that, 1,400? Well, let's see here. Yeah, 1,400, 2,800. So we see a min raise, and with 50 big blinds, the 3-bet here I don't think works well because we don't have enough to really do that. You know what? We can do this one too. Let's do this one too, because this is a bit closer. So we have 18 big blinds. We've seen a raise in the hijack and a call from the blind. Now I don't know if we're gonna have that. So where's my other one here? There we go. So 18 big blinds in the big blind. So we'll just call it a 20. Our position is the big blind versus a raise. The other player's position is the hijack. Now it's a little different because of the squeeze factor. Ace 8 offsuit is a call 100% of the time, but there was a... there's not a thing for versus a raise and a call. It kind of sucks. Because with the small blind in there calling, it definitely is a different factor. I think we can lower our blinds and get a more proper answer. Yeah, so there's a jam here from ace 8, about a quarter of the time. I think with the other player in the pot, because of the squeeze factor, I think the jam is proper here. If I had Pio Solver, I would run it, but that's $1,000 program, and I don't got $1,000. So, yeah, I like the jam here. It worked. It was a good, recognized the squeeze well, and we do threaten both the stacks. So this is one where we took down a good pot that pumped us up into the next range of blinds. So it was a good play. Ace 7 off from the blind again. We see a raise and a call, and we decide to ship this one. It's basically the same thing. Let's go ahead and range that one, though. Button for 18 big blinds, right? So we're going to range that one, and it's going to come up a little bit easier as a jam, I think. So 18 big blinds, we'll just go 20 off the start from the big blind versus a raise from the button. We're looking for ace 7 off. It's an all-in 46% of the time. Very easy jam. Let's go even a little bit lower. Let's do the 15 big blinds, right? We're going to split the difference. And ace 7 off is 58% of the time a jam. So that's about a 50-50 jam versus call at our actual stack. So I'm really proud that I got this one right. I knew I did in game, but that comes from studying. It's very tempting just to call here or even 3-bet small like a wuss. But, you know, like Umberto Brenna said, you know, we must be, in order to live, we must be willing to die. 9-7 in the small blind. Ooh, I remember this one. So we see a raise in first. We see a call, and I decided to go ahead and just call because obviously this hand plays great multi-way. And we see another call and 2 pair. Pretty damn good. Vulnerable board, wet flop, kind of really what we want because when we get it in, we're usually very ahead. It goes back to the original opener who bets 7.7. That is a 3/4 pot bet. He's saying, I have something I would like to go with. And if you know a little bit about poker, when a guy raises pre-flop and then bets huge into four other players, he has 1 pair. Typically that 1 pair here is aces, but it also is ace-queen. It could be kings as well. It's never queens, it's never nines, it's never sevens, it's never jacks. It's either aces, kings, or ace-queen. I honestly, it's not even kings that much because I think kings a lot will bet smaller here because of the amount of ace queens that are still out here or king queens. It's much more likely. Aces bets bigger for the same reason, but now there's even more combinations. Like when you have kings, it's less likely somebody has king queen because you hold 2 of the kings. When you hold aces, it's far more likely somebody has king queen, and it's less likely somebody has ace queen because they would have 3-bet pre-flop and there's only 2 aces left in the deck. So I think in that scenario, I think aces can bet this big and get paid, but kings specifically would want to bet smaller to get played with. But in this scenario, I thought it was either aces or ace-queen. It goes back around to me. I decided to just go ahead and make a huge raise, you know, a little under 3x, because I'm just telling him, look, dude, I'm committed to the pot. I wanted to just get in, and I thought about just straight jamming the 45 blinds. But then I thought, you know what, that might just look way too strong. Like it might just look like exactly what it is, 2 pair. So when I check raise here, it can look like a flush draw. It can look like a straight draw. You know, I could have the ace 7 of spades, you know, things like that. So I think the raise here gets the money in more often than not. He did snap jam on me, and or he didn't snap jam. He took a couple seconds, but of course we got a little money in, and he rolls over the old ace queen, and we held for a nice 100 big blind pot at a really good point in the tournament. We were a little ways in, and we needed this double to get above the average in chips, which we did. Ooh, the 9-10 suited. This was one of my favorite hands, I think. I went ahead and just jammed it from the small blind, and this is one that I wanted to range with you guys. Before we even see the result, let's range it, because this isn't the 9-10 I was thinking of, but it's interesting. So we'll say we're in the small blind with 15 big blinds. We see a raise from the, what is that, cutoff hijack versus a raise from the hijack. 9-10 suited. Ooh, that's nice. Versus a raise, we're supposed to jam about 60% of the time. That's at 15 big blinds. We have less than that, so it's going to be higher. Let's go 12 big blinds here. It was about 60% of the time on that one. 9-10 suited. Ooh, it's not there. It's only a call. And we're supposed to call or fold. That's crazy. Did I look at the wrong thing there? Did I get it wrong? No, 9-10. So look at that. So it's 60% an all-in with 15 big blinds, but at 12 big blinds, it's not even on the chart. It's a call or a fold. Wow. So that's an interesting inflection. So I like that I did it, but it's 60% there. We actually have 13.45, so we're closer to 15 than 12, but let's cut it in half, man. That means 25% of the time. That being said, I think I like the jam here with it, just because it's a chance to get back in the tournament, and it was very early in the tournament. So I like the play, and we stole an early one, man. We don't always get that steal, but we stole a nice early one. Pocket J's. I mean, I knew it was proper at 15, but I guess the actual range for my actual hand, I didn't realize at 12 it was such a drop-off. Let's see. Min opened the jacks. Get called twice. King 7 deuce, kind of a great flop for somebody with a king. This player goes ahead and bets, and I call it, and because I'm not going to fold to one bet. When the king comes on the turn, in game I was like, well, dude, are you really going to go for this? Because his bet on the flop was kind of low for standard. So the standard here I think would have been like 275. Because it's a three-way pot, we could even go 3.25. He went 237, which is super small. It's right around a third of the pot, but with extra players in the pot, I think you want to bet more. And plus, he has a lot of blinds, and plus, we're very short. So if he had a king, I think he would just bet enough to get us committed by the turn. Like, he could just bet 3.5 or 4 here, and then if one of us calls, we only have 13 blinds left, and there's 15 in the pot. That's me. The other guy's got even less. So the king's just so unlikely. We call, and the turn comes off a king, and he checks back, and I decided to check to induce the bluff. I did say that this was much like the spot that I discovered, and it's actually the feature of that new video that I put out, where you bet small to induce a bluff. And I thought I could bet like 2 or 3 blinds here into this 12 big blind pot and get jammed on, right? But there is a thing. If I had 80 blinds, I would do that. And then I'd see a guy raise to like 30, and then I get to snap him off. But with such a small stack, it's a different dynamic. So I think checking is better. And as you can see, we're 89% to win. I think checking is better because he bluffs more often, because he does have that big stack, and he was going to put us to the test. He put us all in for all his chips, and I did snap call this in game. And he just had no hope of winning at any point in the hand. He was dead on the turn. So not really what you want, bro. You didn't set it up pre-flop. You didn't really bet the flop well. Like, if he had bet the flop for like 4.5 blinds, and then we check the turn, and he just puts us all in then after a couple of seconds, I think I have to fold the jacks, I gotta say. But his flop bet kind of gave it away. So it was a nice little trap. Ace queen off. Min raise out of under the gun +1. We see a call, and we decide to go ahead and just call. This is one where I could have definitely 3-bet it, but the player was very short, and I didn't want to just race. Plus the player behind. And we don't want to lose the value of the hand, really. So it checks to this player. He bets 3 big blinds. Doesn't really mean a whole lot. We decide to go ahead and call. We get called twice, which is interesting. The heart on the turn is kind of not really a problem, but bothersome. And then we see this player bet 10 big blinds all in. And to me, it just didn't seem quite right. But this is an interesting twist, is he actually had kings. And I think this was one of the best hands I saw played yesterday, because he let it happen where enough of the pot was big enough where it was reasonable for him to jam. And now I cannot fold, because as you can see, even in a 3-way pot, 57% to win versus the deck here. You know what I'm saying? So, and when he folds, I'm 75%. He knows there's no fucking way I'm folding if I have a queen. So I think it's a great jam. He just donked it out of position. This player didn't have a read. He was just, he was totally bluffing, because I have, whatever's this board improving. And, if he had let the river come off, I'm never calling. If it just goes check, check, like if the guy doesn't bluff the river and then the queen comes off, I don't think I'm betting, and I don't think I'm calling, because it's just so bad for me now. I think then I can make the read when he jams that he could have aces or kings with the heart. It sucks, but that's the truth of it. So I wanted to give this one credit. This player beat me straight, straight up. And it was a really well played hand by him, I think. Let's see. Pocket A balls. I usually don't like reviewing pocket aces because they're kind of cut and dry, but maybe we learned something here. So we see a raise under the gun and a call under the gun +1. And I decided to go ahead and raise. I like my raise here because I think a pot size bet is a little bit big. Let me see here. Let me see. 2, 4, 6, 7.5, 8.5. So a pot size bet would have been about 10.5 blinds. So I like this here. I just removed my call from the pot, so I just went down a little bit because we don't need to go that big because we're going to get action quite a bit here. We do see that the small blind decides to jam, which is cool because he's reopened the betting. This player goes all in. I don't know why. There's really no range of hands he can have to do this except for aces, kings, and ace-king suited. But I was very happy about this. And, we got the money, and now let's show you guys something here. Let's see. Where is it? Show known hole cards. Ace-king, very reasonable to raise under the gun and then jam over a 3-bet. Pocket nines, really not. Versus the deck, it's just not a great spot because do you not think you're up against a pair here? Like, what are the odds that I'm folding after 3-betting under the gun and a call? Now I 3-bet. What are the odds here that I'm folding even after he jams? Not really good. I don't think I'm folding pocket 10s here, honestly. Just because this rejam is just so dumb. Because if you had aces, kings, queens, jacks, even 10s. Nah, let's take 10s out. But if you had all those hands, you would have 3-bet. Okay? Now, here's the thing. If this guy had folded under the gun, then this guy jammed, then I kind of agree with his play. Because my 3-bet could be weak. It could be, kind of a squeezy kind of 3-bet with a good hand like ace-queen. But the jam is then proper. That's not what happened here. This is a complete mistake by this guy. He's just never going to be ahead in this situation ever, ever, ever. And you can see, with 3 players in the pot, not knowing their cards, it's kind of meh, whatever. And this is a fun one because, of course, the board ran out and the worst hand got there. This pot was massive. We were in the cash, and this one was a heartbreaker. This was a heartbreaker. Gets me to 250,000 chips, and if you didn't realize how important that was, the blind level was 1750, 3500. So 250,000 chips at this point is pretty goddamn huge. I would have been about 4th or 5th in chips with about 30 players left. Actually, I can tell you exactly where I went out of that tournament. This is the hand that took me out. I went out 25th. So frustrating, but we got exactly what we wanted, except for the win. We got everything we wanted except the pot. And you can't be frustrated by that. I mean, I was aggravated for like 10 minutes, and then I was well over it. This King 9 is an interesting hand. It's a fun one, and it just shows how bad some people play. I have a monster stack. This player's super not monstery. Like, he's not dead, but he's, I've also taken some pots from him, and it's kind of been a weird dynamic. He's probably getting frustrated, right? So I had that in mind. I decided to limp. Normally my play here is to limp raise. Let's actually range this one too. So King 9, I have 53 big blinds in the small blind, okay? So we'll just go 60. That's fine enough. We're in the small blind versus a raise from the big blind. So we're saying we limped, and then the big blind raised us. A standard raise of 3.5 big blinds. King 9 suited is 3-betting 25% of the time, calling the rest of the time. It's never a fold. I was thinking about 3-betting and calling, limping and then 4-betting because he only had 20 big blinds. But if we change this to a 20 big blind effective stack, then the king nine is just 100% call, because it doesn't matter that I have 100 blinds or whatever. He's only got 20. So then the king nine becomes 100% call, which means we limped, the big blind raised, and now we call 100% of the time. It's cool, right? Even with 20 big blinds, 100%. So that's what we do. And the flop comes down, backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw, pretty much nothing. Let's see what happens. We check, and the player bets one big blind. I am getting 8-1. Am I going to draw out on this guy 10% of the time if he has a pair? Yes. I actually would want to put this into a solver versus the actual hands, but there's literally almost no hand that I can play this way. What are the hands that I can play this way at this blind level that I can now fold for one big blind? 4 deuce suited that doesn't contain a suit on the board. Queen 5 off. Can I even do that? No, because I have a queen. It's ace queen 8 rainbow. I guess it's just like the really trashy suited connectors, like the 4 deuce of clubs that I can fold. But even then I can backdoor straight, right? So I of course call, because I don't know what this guy's trying to accomplish, and even by the deck it says I'm 50-50, so why not? So I call. Now there's 10 big blinds in the pot, and he bets 2. So I'm now getting 6-1, meaning I only need 14% equity. Let's range it here, okay? Let's really range it. Like, I wanted to kind of run this one, but I'm just going to do it in my head. A 10 wins me the pot. There are 4 10s in the deck. That is an 8% chance. Cool. We only need 14%, right? Now, if he has an ace, then yeah, the king's not good for me. But if he doesn't have an ace, if he has hands like, what the hell, Queen 10 or Jack 10 or things like that. I got to do it, man. I got to do it. I got to bring up Equilab. I got to do it. I can't. This is where my thinking is solidified and validated, because people saw this call and thought I was just calling it because it was whatever, but it was actually reasonable. So he raised me in the big blind with 20 big blinds. Let's actually use the GTO charts. Oh, let's play these two off each other. Oh, that's awesome. Let's do that. Okay. So let's say I'm in the big blind, right, with 20, let's say I'm in the big blind with 20 big blinds versus a limp, okay? This is my range of what I'm going to do with versus the limp in the big blind, okay? So this is, he's in the big with 20 big blinds, small blind limps. This is what he's supposed to do. So we're going to take all the 100% hands and make them raises, okay? So let's check it out. So all these down to ace 7. All these down to king 9. These 3, not that one. This one, and all the way down to ace 6, and then all the pairs. So we're just basically giving him perfect GTO with what he does. He's raising all these hands. Let's not count the little ones, the ace 4s, the ace 3, ace deuce off. Yeah, fine, but let's throw away the ace 4 just to make him a little bit tighter. Or actually, he's only raising it 41% of the time. Okay, Jack 10 suited. Let's see, king 9, queen 9, ace 9, ace 8, ace 10, ace jack, ace queen, ace king. Like, why did this get cleared? What the hell, bro? Why does this keep getting cleared? Oh, it's because I'm scrolling on the mouse reel. Oh, I'm a fucking idiot. All right, let's just do it quickly. All right, we're gonna give him a perfect GTO range. Boom, boom, boom. Da 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 da. Take that off. It's like picture page. Picture page is picture page. Let's drug somebody's picture page. I see the one blind bet a decent amount on PokerStars. It's almost always trash and occasionally the nuts, but that's rare. Usually a small pocket pair, maybe bottom pair. Exactly. But I want to give him the perfect GTO range because this did work out kind of weirdly. So, okay, I think I got it. So king 8, king 9. These are all raises. Let's take out the ace 4. There's some other ones in the middle. The queen 8. There's the queen 9. 8 4. Let's give him a couple of those. Okay, this is a reasonably tight GTO range. Okay, so let's apply that versus my actual hand, right? So this is what he has to do versus my actual hand of king 9 of hearts. Okay, first let's see the equity. We're pretty close. Now the board is, let's pull this over here. The board is the actual ace of hearts. I think it was the 8 of diamonds or something. Ace of hearts. I think it was like the 8 of diamonds, queen of clubs, right? Or maybe it was the queen of clubs, 8 of diamonds. Or 8 of spades. Whatever. Okay? So we'll put that up. Let's look at the actual thing. Yeah, queen of diamonds, 8 of spades, jack of clubs. Jack of clubs. Okay. Evaluate. I have 15.95% equity. I'm supposed to call. I only need 14%. I have 15% on this board. I'm supposed to call. I did nothing wrong here. This is not a suck out. This is perfect poker play. I love it. And of course I hit the 10. And I just ripped this in his face because I feel like he's never going to fold anything. Like I feel like if he's betting with anything, he's never going to fold anything when he should fold everything when I do this. It just looks like such a bluff, right? It just looks like such a bluff that he should just always call me. But me personally, am only doing this with the nuts. And he took a long time, and then, of course, he called it, and he got to show us his trip aces. But I never made a mistake. I made no mistakes. You can range that perfectly versus a perfect GTO range. I'm never supposed to fold. I have the pot odds at 16%. I have the pot odds, only needing 14%. So he did it to himself. I said, if somebody ever said to you, you let me get there, and you had a doubt, this is what I'm talking about. This is letting me get there. And he paid me every fucking chip he had, and I was so happy when I knocked this guy out because he was, directly on my left, and I knew that it was getting to an inflection point where he was just going to go broke or he was going to hurt me. So I was so glad when he went out. It was so much fucking fun. Oh, God. I laughed like the fucking Joker during that hand. Let's see here. So, one big blind. We get min raised, and it's only cost us one big blind to call. Obviously, we're calling with the 6-8. Looks pretty good. We got 28 big blinds. We flop a flush draw. We see a check, and so we go ahead and check behind. Don't want to get blown off the draw. Pretty standard shit. 6 on the turn is really good for me. Player goes ahead and bets, and he's betting all in. This is one where it's like, I obviously can't fold, but there was more of a consideration here. The player behind me, right? The player behind me is a factor. He can definitely have an ace because there is a short stack who, might bet, and then I might call it, and then he could raise, things like that. But I didn't even feel like this was a hand that beat me. Like, I didn't even feel like this is ever an ace. I felt like it was another draw. And the most common thing is that it's going to be some kind of spade draw, right? Because I have hearts. So I just went ahead and just called it, not really worried about this guy. Because if he had jammed, I think I definitely still have the equity to call it. 71% with one card to come. And interestingly enough, the player had 7-9 of spades. So he thought he had a perfect flush draw in the gut shot. I'm holding one of his outs, but it's just interesting. I mean, obviously he loses a lot of cards because he can't hit any of the hearts on the river and all like that. But I like his play, and I like my play of just calling it on the turn because I kind of, they say you don't want this smoke. I kind of wanted this smoke right here. I kind of wanted this guy to jam and get my 20 big blinds in at a 70% favorite. Versus the deck, meaning he's going to have an ace and I'm going to improve enough to justify the call. Because it's more likely that I lose to the shorter stack than I do to the bigger stack. But it's just one of those funny ones where I just had the better hand and draw. I believe, because my outs were all pure. So this is a fun hand. It got very frustrating, but it was very fun. So we see a raise out of first, just a min open, which is standard at this point in the tournament. I flopped the open ender. Cool, cool. I can always defend with the 9-10 here. He bets micro, which anytime people do this, it's so annoying to me that I actually like hate them, because I'm never folding to this and they're just doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong, bro. It really upsets me. So I go ahead and call. I make the 9 on the turn. Player bets big now, and I said it in game, although I was very beat up from playing Sunday and I was very frustrated, and I didn't want to go broke here, but thankfully my brain saved me and said, I'm just going to win here so often that I don't think I even need to raise. Like, I think this is one where I'm getting bluffed a huge portion of the time, right? Which obviously I am, right? Like, what does he have here that beats me? Jacks, sure. I don't know if he bets that small on the flop and then bets big on the turn with jacks, though. Not a very common thing to do there. Could he have a queen? Yeah, I guess. But I don't think he would have bet that small. He would have wanted to protect / get value more. Could he have 10 jack? Yeah, but that's just a cooler. Plus, I'm holding a 10. Could he have pocket 10s? Yeah, but again, I'm holding a 10. Could he have a set? Yeah, but that's kind of monsters under the bed. If you're folding because a guy might have a set, you should probably take up checkers. But it just didn't seem right. So as much as I hated it at the time because I was kind of leveling myself, I decided to go ahead and call it. And I said, I'm probably going to have to call all rivers unless he does something crazy. And then I corrected myself in game and was like, I'm probably going to have to call that too. And I just checked, and he did check after a lot of deliberation. I think he was really trying to find a reason to bluff here. But this board just favors the big blind's range so much better than the early position opener, because he's going to have ace kings. He's going to have even hands like aces here. Like, don't love it, right? Like, if you get it all in on the river here with aces, are you happy about it? Like, if I just jam into your face, like, I'm going to have a 6 a lot. I'm going to have 10 jack a lot. I'm going to have, 10-6 a lot. I can have everything. I can have all the 2 pairs. I can have all the trips. I can have all the everything. Like, queen 9 is just so in the wheelhouse. So I really would have loved this guy to bet the river to see if I would fold, because I had tagged this hand before it was over. I was like, I don't care what happens. I need to go over this one. But I really wish that I would have called it. And the only bet he could make is all in. And I think that's what stopped him, because a lot of players don't have it in their heart to pull that trigger. And he did check, and he showed me a very interesting king 10, which I get betting the turn bigger because you picked up equity, but you really kind of screwed yourself, man. Like he could have just checked the turn, and then I'm going to check river, and then he bets again. It's kind of hard to call with second pair. Even for 7 big blinds into an 8 big blind pot, it's kind of hard to call. So his betting and tempo was off. When he saw that he picked up equity, he turned his hand into a semi-bluff instead of a stone bluff. And when you're stone bluffing, you're better off not changing the script. You know what I'm saying? Because it's on this flop, he's basically stone bluffing. If he had bet a third, and then on the turn he had bet, 2/3, and on the river he had blasted it, all in like he's supposed to, there's no way I can call here with that betting structure. I probably even give it up on the turn. So just a poorly played hand that he saw the board improve his hand. Personally, if I was playing this hand, I wouldn't do it in this position, but let's just say, if I see this 10 on the turn, or this 9 on the turn, now I have an open ender and an overcard, I'm just going to check. Like, what am I accomplishing by betting here? I'm just going to check, right? The river comes off. There's only 8.86 blinds in the pot. And then even if this player leads out for 4 or 5, like as a value kind of blocker bet, I can then bluff for 19 blinds and still be better off than this guy was, So I think it was just a hand that was played poorly by him. Obviously, raising out of first is not a good idea versus a player who is going to get the money in, with 28 blinds. So that was my Sunday. It was a lot of fun. I did pretty well. For taking a loss, I did pretty well. Sundays are volatile, man. You either win it all or you lose it all. And yesterday I didn't quite lose it all. I got back 30% of my buy-ins right at the end, which is nice. Buy-ins weren't huge, which is what I'm most proud of. I controlled the size of my buy-ins and just took more of them. which is what you want to do on a very volatile day like Sunday. So I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to host KB, and I will see you guys probably not later today unless I just do a hangout stream playing Hearthstone. I got quite a bit of editing to do, and I think I want to take a day off of poker. I don't always play every day, so you guys have a great day, and I'll see you later. Stick around for the host. And yeah, so nice little review.